I do apologise for the lateness of the posting of these daily reflections. The truth is, I'd forgotten that it was my turn. I'd got it in my diary, but because there's nothing that I was expecting to happen in my diary, didn't look at my diary. Doesn't help, does it? It's been a funny old day, really. I can't claim that I've been utterly distracted, but certainly there's been quite a lot happening on the domestic front. Our little grandson Reef was sent home from nursery, not for misbehaving, but for having a spiked temperature on Friday afternoon. So there's a flurry of activity as we worked out, how to get him home and things like that. Fortunately, his other grandmother was able to pick him up from nursery because both Kyle and Amy were at work. But long story short, he was taken to the local A&E, sent home, told that he had to have a COVID test. Our daughter Amy, his mother, is a paediatric nurse, and so quite quickly, fortunately, she was able to get a shortcut through the testing delays that most other people have to face, and so was able to take him to the local hospital to get a COVID test today and to have one herself. So we've been a bit distracted really today, awaiting the results of that, because the implication for them and for us, because we saw them earlier in the week, would have been quite major. And I think that's the harsh reality that's hit home today of quite how this track and trace stuff really makes a huge difference potentially to lots of people's lives. I was just trying to think through myself what it would mean if I had to self-isolate, which I would have had to done if the test came back positive. Thankfully, this afternoon we discovered that it was a negative result, and so our lives are not to be disrupted in the way that we'd feared. But the arrangements for tomorrow, leading the first public Sunday worship at Lanchester, that would have all gone differently, let's say. The funeral that I'm due to take on Tuesday, that would have had to have been done differently. I wouldn't have been able to do that. And all the other things in my diary that I was expected to go to things for, I wouldn't be able to do it. For Amy, it would have meant not being able to go to work for 2 weeks. For Kyle, her partner, similarly. The ripples go outwards of these issues that we're having to deal with right now. So, as I say, it's not an excuse, it's just background, really, for what I've decided I wanted to look at today. I looked again at the Bible reading for today. It's wonderfully, it's the end of the creation and fall story in Genesis chapter 3, where God banishes Adam and Eve from the garden. I thought, oh, that's great. So it all sort of adds to the imperfection that I've been beating myself up with since I got Kayla's lovely reminder that it was my turn today. But the point of that reading is that things aren't ever perfect. We will always get things wrong. But what do we do with that? Of course, We have to acknowledge it when we do mess up, which I'm doing now. It's not the biggest disaster in the world, but sometimes people mess up in spectacular ways, and it causes massive disruption and turns people's lives upside down. But that is the condition that we are in as human beings. That's the consequence of the way in which we are. That's the corollary of the Genesis 3 story, really. And that reading finishes with God placing safeguards to make sure that we don't find our way back into that garden of paradise. We're not allowed back. It can't be taken back, that which has been done. So what's our attitude? What's our approach to life in the consequence of that? It means that we have to accept the inevitability that, we will make mistakes along the way. But it also means that we have to depend not upon ourselves being able to find our way into the presence of God once again, but that Jesus has somehow mysteriously, wonderfully, graciously done that for us. And however much we try to say that we know it's not about what we do, actually we do sometimes think that somehow it does depend on how well we perform or how good or bad our behaviour is. But all the way through, as we'll find in our gospel passage for tomorrow that I'll be preaching on, it's about God recognising that lack of perfectedness in us, but still being gracious, still opening his arms up to us and saying, yeah, I know who you are, and I still love you. Accept that you're accepted by me, no matter what. That's what he says to us. So I want you to go forward knowing that your superintendent minister is a klutz who forgets things, who doesn't get things right. But that I'm just like you, really, trying my best, sometimes messing up, sometimes doing it reasonably well, sometimes realising new things about myself along the way, as we all hopefully will, but always knowing that I don't deserve any of God's love. He just gives it to me, and I rejoice and give him all the praise and all the glory. So have a good rest of the day. I hope that you receive this and that you are able to welcome it with all the humility with which it's given, and know that you're loved just as I know I am. God bless.